welcome back, Smite fans, to the Smite 2 Founders Series Knockout LAN, the fourth and final set of this portion of today. Before tomorrow, again, which is the upper quarterfinals of the double elim bracket that'll be played at Vegas. That's something to be focused on a little bit later. It's also, I have the bracket open over here, and that's way too early because I was looking at it because I was talking with Smoke Break in the break room because they were trying to figure out if they get the tiebreakers, you know, if they wanted to like game like what seed they are, what seed would be better. Is it better to skip tomorrow, or is it better to maybe try and play for a bracket that's more favorable to you? What do you want for this set to happen? Whole lot of stuff. This Goremizer is inbound, and it is again the fourth and final set of the day. We've got Thor versus Zeus. Which actually have team names. Food Drive for Globe, who's the one repped behind
and
me.
Zeus.
And Zeus on the other side. Team Risk on the other side. This is going to be a really fun one.
Yeah, I mean, this is supposed to be the set we've been, kind of building up towards. This is the entire tournament culminating into just one single set.
Yeah, Team Risk, a team people are maybe surprised to find out where they sit on the standings. See, we call that clickbait. Team Risk are third overall, 1-1 right now with a set to be played. Food Drive first overall, 2-0 with a set yet to be played. That's where we're going. We're a little ahead of schedule, as you can see there, based on the timing, but that's a good thing as far as I'm concerned, because it means we get to the good Smite fast. Food Drive for Globe with a ± of 4. Team Risk with a ± of 0. It is a friendly reminder, as long as Team Risk 2-0 this, then we go into tiebreakers. Then suddenly Food Drive beat Smoke Break, who beat Team Risk, who beat Food Drive, and as that triangle persists, we figure out tomorrow where we play 3 at minimum, I believe, best of ones between them, right? Food Drive versus Smoke Break versus Risk versus Food Drive. Winners of those would then determine seeding if they are tied up. Guys, I'm going to be real. If it's still tied after that, we got to figure something else out.
Coin flip, something.
Yeah, so something's going to go on. But that's, I think, TBD. Because that'd be like the 6th tiebreaker that we'd have to go to snap things apart. Realistically, if they want to avoid that, Food Drive for Globe just needs to win one game. They win one game, and it ruins all of the other stuff. Because even if Team Risk win 2-1, their plus-minus and their head-to-head for Smoke Break means that they're going to be third. Smoke Break would be second. Food Drive would still, I believe, remain first in that scenario. So with all of that going on, it does put maybe some of that pressure onto Team Risk to make sure they want to perform. And it should be a little bit of pressure because the team they're playing against here in Food Drive for Globe, this is a squad, Karmic, Valo, Globe, Happen, Tegvir, and I said this at the end when I was talking to Aggro. Coming into the Smite 2 tournaments, I didn't really know what to expect of this team, but my hopes for them were kind of, hey, you're going to be a top 8 team guaranteed. Maybe you're not going to be a top 3, but you know what? That's kind of fine, right? That's a really, honestly, when you're top 8 in the world, like that's pretty sick to be.
That's good.
And now, not only confirming themselves as top 6 in the world because of what we know for Vegas, also kind of dominating. Like this has been a very big and pleasant surprise for me.
And I don't think it's far off to say that this has been the most surprising team at this LAN so far. Yeah. I mean, Team Risk was expected to be the dominant team coming out of this bracket. They get shocked by Smoke Break. I mean, 5M's, they dominated the other group, but this team had expectations coming in of, they want to win the group, but they're kind of playing for second. Team Risk is that first team, and now with this final set, they kind of get to prove, we are the team to beat from Group B. Forget about EMEA, both NA winning both groups, and they have shown a ton of growth, like every single game. Going back to the tournament, they've improved even on the tournament from back then till now. This is a team that's taking steps, and every single time we see them play, it just seems like they get better.
Yeah, it has been a team that like you said, it's just been a pleasure to watch because they have always seemed to take in lessons really, really well and adapt pretty well. And so the question is, what are they feeling going into this? Knowing that there could be tiebreakers on the line, well, the good news is I believe we have Tegvir standing by for an interview.
All right, I'm over here with Food Drive for Globe, in position to take the #1 seed in their group, headed to Vegas. I'm here with Tegvir, the hunter on this team. Tegvir, a lot of talk around the building here that you guys might be the best team here. Do you think that's the case?
Yeah, I think we are the best team, and I think we're really good with what we build. I think we came into this tournament pretty prepared with what the best items are, and I think we know the meta the best.
So, I mean, talk to me about Team Risk. They came in as the #1 seed at EMEA. Obviously, Smokebreak upset them, and that helped put you guys in this position. They got to beat you 2-0. So, if they were going to do that, like, how are you going to stop them? Who's the biggest threat on that team?
So I think we're gonna try to play around genetics and make sure he doesn't get off to a good start, and we're just gonna try to do our best and make sure they can't even take one game off us.
Well, you guys look pretty good so far. So for Food Drive, you guys going to Vegas. What's the first thing you're going to do once you get there?
Not sure. We might hit up some casinos.
Yeah, a little bit of that. Well, there you go. Food Drive for Globe about to take the stage to see if they can take the #1 seed. Good luck to you, Tegvir.
Thank you.
Back to you.
Yeah, maybe the buy round would be pretty helpful there too, where you're like, you know what, we're already kind of set. We could take a step, spend a little bit of time, especially because hey, guess where the arena is? The HyperX Arena Las Vegas is next to a casino, so you're gonna be just fine. Tegvir though did mention knowing the meta the best, that believing that they kind of build the best, which I think is an interesting take because that is something that's important on LAN.
Yeah, and I think starting with Tegvir, he kind of was the one that started these more tankier style ADC builds. I called it the Cyclone build on Thursday. It's not the Cyclone build. Even Mike Pryor made sure that it was known as the Tegvir build, building into the Sunbeam Bow and then the Shifters, Berserkers, and just building to survive most of the times. Same thing with the Zeus build, and I think it extends beyond even Tegvir. I think Karmic's builds have looked really good out of solo lane. I've really liked a lot of their builds across the board, and comboing good builds with a good meta read. I mean, you get a team that's 2-0 and has a chance to just win the group.
It's definitely been in a good spot for them. Again, all they have to do is win one game, which is that's a pretty light work sometimes when you think you've got things figured out. So the question is, will the team they're up against let them? Oh man, it is not a team that I expected to be talking about in a 3rd seed position. Variety, Lasbra, Theeks, Genetics, and Streak. This is a squad that inbound literally until Thursday, my days are off. Today's Saturday, right?
Yep.
Yeah, okay, cool. Thursday, they had not lost a game in the Founder Series.
Crazy. And then they come into this Thursday tournament, and they got... I mean, it was not particularly close, their set against Smokebreak. It was a pretty dominant set. I think, I don't know if it was like El Leon or something, or Team Risk just wasn't expecting Smokebreak to come out swinging, but they got smacked. They came back yesterday a lot better, and now today they feel like they finally have that correct read on the meta. They finally feel like they have taken that step forward, starting to realize what they need to do, and there's a lot of things they can build on. They can build on stuff that they've seen from Smokebreak up until this point. Same with they've seen, 2 games from also Food Drive for Globe, who's also seen 2 games from them. But I think this is a team that the more Smite they see, they're like really good at reading the meta and then deciphering what they think is really good. And I think that's what makes them such a dominant team. They just process stuff really well. I would not be surprised if they come into this set and they take it to Food Drive with a really good understanding of the meta.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing I think that this team, and they kind of acknowledged it coming in on Thursday where they said, we're going to play our own game. A lot of the times with LAN,
that was wrong.
Yeah,
their meta was wrong.
Well, they were like, yeah, you either know the meta or you don't, and you adapt. And so now they're in the adapt stage. And I think we can just kind of hear from them what their expectations are. Again, the pressure may be residing on them a little more than it is on Food Drive for Globe. So without further ado, we'll go down to Variety, who's standing by for an interview.
Crossing the divide over here with Team Risk. I'm talking to Variety. Variety, you guys are about to get started to take on Food Drive for Globe. You have a chance here to actually cause a little bit of chaos in this group and cause a 3-way tiebreak, but you got a 2-0 Food Drive to do it. So what have you guys been talking about getting ready for this game?
I think mainly it's just how they play the game in general with, they seem very objective focused. They seem to want pressure around the map a lot. So we've just been talking about ways to combat that and what we think is the best solution to the way they play.
Well, talking about Food Drive, they've looked very strong. What do you think? What do you think is their strongest aspect to their gameplay that you have to shut down?
I'd say the dual lane probably. They they tend to play like really aggressive. They end up getting like a few kills and dueling a lot, so they end up getting leads, and then they snowball that into gold furies, and then they can just keep snowballing that lead. And then I think most of their wins have come through their dueling.
Well, I asked Tegvir over there just a second ago what he's going to do when he first gets to Vegas. He said might hit up with some casinos. What about you? What's your plan once you get to Vegas?
I'll be sat right next to them.
Sat right next to him. Well, how about it? They might be on the divide here, but they'll be together in Vegas. Back to you, Malum.
See, the wink is because he's doing it as like an in joke at the end. A lot of people say me and Malum sound similar. So you're aware as well. Handshakes at the casinos, despite wanting to, I guess, beat each other up on the battleground, is a good way to describe it. You can hear though, I think that the recognition, hey, they're duo lane strong. Like Risk has done the homework.
Yeah, and I mean, quickly in 2 sentences, Variety has told us this is how they play the game, and I think he reads it perfectly. They play through duo lane, they play for objectives, and if they do get that small lead, they snowball it, and they snowball it through objectives. So I think it's a good read by Variety, by the entire Team Risk team. But it's different when you know what a team is going to do, and you actually fulfill your plan into that. Like it takes a lot to not die to CERN Sobek laning phase, Sobek Zeus when they play it so efficiently. So yeah, you can know what they're doing, but if what's the saying? It's like if a punch, you can know a punch is coming. If it's thrown fast enough, you're still going to get hit.
Yep.
You could know this dual lane is going to play for pressure. If you can't avoid that, if you can't stop them doing the objectives, you're going to lose.
Yeah, they're still going to get pressure. They're still going to be able to find that. So at least they've acknowledged it. I'm actually really curious about drafts because I feel like we've seen Genetics, Yamoja's always on that conversation. Yeah. Sobek's been in the conversation. Karnanos, I think, is a really big deal. Tegvir has been willing to play not meta picks, so that is going to make things kind of nice. Although, again, maybe games against Los Lille can be taken like with a little grain of salt on them as well for some of these squads. So is there anything outside of maybe the standards that we've been seeing that you're maybe expecting specifically from Food Drive, but really either squad?
I think you're 100% right. CERN should be. I guess I'll pair it with CERN Sobek. I think those two are the ones that stick out to me as highest prio for both teams.
Well, we'll find out. Picks and bans, game 1 between these two powerhouses. Food Drive for Globe versus Team Risk. Also, I pointed this out to you earlier, but Thor versus Zeus being a very fun inter-mythological housing matchup. Food Drive for Globe will be... Pantheons? That's what those things are called.
I was going to let you rock.
Yeah, well, you know what? We got there, right? You just take steps one at a time. Yamoja gets banned by Food Drive for Globe, and that's a pretty big one to take off the table.
And you're pairing it with a matched Sobek ban. I think CERN insta-lock in. The worry now, though, is, yes, you have this CERN, but Ymir is something that Genetics has played a ton of, and it's something that, with these two supports banned, I'd see no issue to not go for that pick. It's shown a lot of prio as that third character, especially with Baron now being banned. So Ymir locked in. I love this pick. This is a god that allows you to fight back in dual lane, even if the enemy team picks pressure with this CERN.
And Poseidon, I mean, he's been right up there too, right? When it comes down to it,
for sure.
The 5 gods up before, and you know what? I'll even include Chalk in. There's 6 gods that are on the screen right now have been just the most contested over the last 4 days, 3 days, and so it makes sense. Wow, the Fenrir though, while not maybe unexpected, it is one that I feel like we've been seeing Loki go to a little more often. So what do you think about the Fenrir being so high up?
I think it's good for pressure because this is the type of style that Food Drive for Globe wants to do. Valo's not really played much Loki at all. I was expecting either Nemesis, potential with that Fenrir. So I like the Fenrir pick. Cupid locked in. Cupid is a good character, full stop. He's good. But he becomes great when you pair him with pressure in duo lane, and then it's also a good matchup into Cernanos. This is we have now an ability to fight back in this dual lane, and I'm very curious what Food Drive for Globe picks in support, and that confirms Fenrir is support. So this is happen on the Fenrir, which this is the character that he kind of, before Sobek really came out and started dominating in support, happened with lock-in Fenrir every single game.
Now, I'm intrigued. There's a lot of good that I like about Food Drive for Globe. And you know what? We were just talking about them playing through their duo lane. And you had kind of highlighted it. The Cupid Ymir feeling like it could keep up with, let's say, Karnanos plus regular support god, who would have been left? Like a Bacchus, I don't know. But the fact that you've now got the Fenrir Kern, do you think that that kind of overdoes the aggression that was meant to match the original aggression?
I get what you're saying.
Yeah, like they one-up to the one-up.
Yeah, I think it's close. The issue with Fenrir into the Cupid Ymir matchup is Fenrir wants to jump in and start the fights. If you use your escape into Ymir, who's then able to lock you down with slows, a lot of CC, they have CC from Fenrir, or they have CC from Ymir, they have CC from Cupid, and it's extended, like, long slows. If Happen jumps in, and they're not all-inning this fight with the CERN, it's risky, but, I mean, you're pairing it with this CERN, pre-5, you don't win this. Ymir and Cupid are very, very good gods, but CERN has so much burst with the melee autos, the 2, the 3, that you have to wait till 5. But as soon as level 5 is hit, I do like the Cupid Ymir ultimates a lot more than I like CERN and Fenrir's, especially in these 2v2s. So if you're Food Drive for Globe, you want to start winning early. Surprised that I say that.
Yeah.
And if you're on the side of Team Risk, just live till level 5 and you're good.
Now, their risk assessment was, hey, control the duo lane. They drafted to control the duo lane. The question is, will they be able to execute? The only way to find out is in Game 1 and to go over to our casters.
We are right back into it with Food Drive for Globe versus Team Risk. Food Drive for Globe would love to take that 1 seed and immediately go to Vegas, but Team Risk could throw a wrench through the whole thing, and aggro, looks like we have an early team fight. Looks maybe a 5v1. Uh-oh. Look out, already starts. Aegis forced out immediately. You will be able to live for now, but that was a scary moment. Looks like everyone will disengage.
Yeah, really a little spooky, but not a whole lot of immediate hard CC available for Food Drive without Happen being able to stack those runes. So get the Aegis, not the end of the world for Streak, but it could end up being pretty important because you listen to Variety's interview right before this set. He says Food Drive wins a lot of their games by snowballing. They've won a lot of their games through duo. Now your ADC doesn't have an Aegis, and look at the picks that Food Drive has gone for in Fenrir and Kernanos. Those are high pressure, high kill potential picks. I would be looking all eyes on this duo lane, and that's typically where Risk wants to be having the focal point of the match because that's where Genetics is. And as we know, that's the brain, the heart, the lungs of this Risk squad. He's the one who's controlling it. Taking him out of the game early, if you're Food Drive, difficult to do, but worth the effort.
Yeah, I mean, the Fenrir support is something that has kind of fallen off in favor in the meta. Teams that have gone to it, they haven't found a ton of success with it. Granted, there was usually a Sobek or a Yamoja in that game, but both teams prioed them out of the lobby, and I do think this really fits what Food Drive want to do, talking about it. They're the best farming team here. At 5 minutes, they're on Gold Fury every single time, and Team Risk, they have to make sure they have eyes on that, because like you just said, they will try everything they can to get aggressive. Their rotations over on this duo lane, once Valo comes over here, they're so good at making sure to take those back camps as well and making sure Team Risk have to work even harder for that farm.
It's not going to be easy for Risk because Food Drive, like you said, very aggressive. But that being said, Food Drive's comp is pretty ult-dependent in skirmishes. They don't have a lot of easily confirmable CC outside of ultimates. Risk can end up being a little bit safer before they hit level 5, but once Food Drive hits 5, it's going to be much easier for Globe Snipe to land, Tegvir's damage to come in. Valo is going to be able to put a lot more damage out. Those types of abilities end up just multiplying in effectiveness.
Oh, hits a huge freeze, Happens in some trouble, use Brutalize and the leap to get away.
Nice
The
route.
stun does keep him locked for a little bit. Genetics wants it, he'll stay around. Happen actually moves forward a bit. You do have that health pot, help you stay in, help you sustain, but you get caught with another freeze and forced to brutalize out again, so they were looking for a way back in. We know that Cernanos can burst down even at level 2. Not going to find it though, you're just trying to clear that wave and get back.
And this is worst case scenario for Food Drive. This is the lane that can't really afford to fall behind because you heard Bobby on the desk. The kill potential for Ymir Cupid is fantastic. You don't want to let them focus on you instead of the wave. Cupid, always great at fighting gods, not always so great at fighting minions. That's going to be really, really important for Food Drive to make sure they avoid, is letting Streak just get full control of this lane.
Valo has started moving his way to the left jungle as well. That may be what breaks the hold in this duo lane, but Genetics and Streak holding this quite well, despite having not the early aggression advantage. Genetics will always play aggressive with Ymir as part of what I think makes him so dangerous on this god. He'll hit freeze. Happen is relying on his movement just to come up, try to bait something out. The jungler's here as well for Team Risk. And Happen just can't find a way in. They're not really able to link back up. He just wanted to try to hold that lane as much as possible for Tegvir.
And he did that. Didn't cost him anything, so not the end of the world whatsoever. He gets his reset off, gets his tier 2 component, and he's in a pretty decent spot. Tegvir gets his reset, doesn't end up losing too many minions. And if the story of this game is going to be told through Duo, it's been pretty quiet overall. Yes, some good trades coming from Risk's end, but nothing disastrous on either end. And that is kind of not the norm so far for this tournament. Even in these matches where it's a bunch of experienced competitive players, there have been some pretty quick fireworks in the duo lane pretty often.
Yeah, Valo usually shows his attention over there pretty early, but he hasn't even shown his face there. Instead, it's over here near the fire giant on solo. Hit him! Force the storm call, and that is good night to Variety. First blood goes to the jungler. Valo picks it up.
Valo is on fire this tournament, man. He caught the Amadash with the Assassinate Cripple. That is just absolute zen moment, flow state, whatever you want to say. Valo's in it right now. Unbelievable start, and it isn't in the duo lane like we all expected. It's Variety just being way too far forward when sitting at level 4. Great play from Valo, gets Food Drive off to a start.
Happen. That just keeps the same tune here. I walk up to Ymir, get frozen, and then I have to bail out. But they seem to just be in farm mode. But something Inbound was also talking about is getting to level 5. You talk about it being ult dependent. We're almost to that point. Ragnarok will be online. Pig mode will be online. And that may give them the edge that they need against this Ymir.
And think about how much attention Risk is putting into this duo lane. Lasbro was there for a long time, ended up being pretty far behind in farm as he just hit level 5. He's got his ultimate, but so do Food Drive's duo lane ahead of Team Risk, and they don't know where Lasbra is right now, and you can tell because these two members are level 5. They aren't stepping up on the level 4 members of Duo. So Lasbra, while it has come at a cost where he's at a pretty significant XP disadvantage and the gold disparity is there for Food Drive, it has gotten some space for their duo lane.
Here we're at the 5-minute mark. Valo's looking at that Gold Fury as well. Usually we already see Food Drive there, but this duo lane has not been easy to grab, and so now they can't go get it. In fact, Happen actually going to jump right in. Ragnarok, he's looking, thought about genetics, will go for it. And Tegvir down, has him locked down. A little bit of help as well from behind. Can Valo pick it up? Genetics will fall. Though that was a long fight, but honestly well executed. Variety comes around, picks up Happen, and a nice rotation from Variety to help get a trade. And that will help stall things here in the duo lane.
Needed something for Risk. What a play as Globe is able to escape a Kraken gank in mid lane. It's impressive what Food Drive is doing. This is the team, if you took away the nameplates and said, hey, which team has been there, done that, won some world championships, been really competitive at the high end of SPL for their whole careers, and which team is a bunch of guys who competed in Smite 1 but not at the SPL level, you'd probably be thinking it's Food Drive. It's happened perfectly waiting out that Ymir ult, not rushing his Ragnarok bite, going in early. So often you see players wait until their jungler is really close to start fighting, but you really have to start fighting 6 to 7 seconds before they get there. Happen is perfectly timing his initiation, and then Valo, it's not a coincidence, oh, he's right there as they get low.
Yeah.
It's because of Happen's play and his timing. Excellent stuff out of Food Drive.
And Karmic in his post-game interview yesterday, he said it best, everything is to a T. Nothing is by accident. We prep, we do everything we can to make sure we're ready, and it absolutely shows. Variety in some trouble here with Valo rotating out again, forced to ult. Storm Call's gonna prevent that stun, and Variety gets picked again. Karmic gets credit for that one.
And this is good for Food Drive. Variety gets that cleanup kill, but it did cost him a couple waves in that solo side. He's going to get punished for that by a team as clean as Food Drive.
Drop getting confident in the solo lane as well, trying to steal that blue buff. Doesn't look like they got it. And Happen also trying to at least keep that information, keep that vision up to know where Genetics and company are going. Meanwhile, Lasbra tried to come in to help the solo lane. The cage may help, and it does. Lasbra, that's about as well as you could have played it.
At least you get one.
Yeah.
And Team Risk, this is a spot where their experience is going to really benefit them, because you heard Variety talk about the duo lane. I think anyone who would be prepping in Risk's spot, and especially with the way picks and bans went, would be thinking that the game plan is all around duo, but it hasn't been.
Ragnarok looking for the snipe.
Nice.
Wow, Aegis right as Ragnarok let him go. And wow, talk about timing being everything. Timing feels like it's everything in the game right now.
Impressive Aegis there from Streak. But like I was saying, the duo lane is what we all expected to be the focus, but it's really been the right-hand side where the biggest lead has come so far for Food Drive. But somehow Lasbara's ended up with an XP lead over Valor.
And here's Tekfir absolutely pumping in the left clicks. Genetics goes down slowly but surely. Food Driver finding a way to control this lane. The Gold Fury was not something they could prioritize easily. They know where the fight is. They know it's not easy to get it against Team Risk, but they're starting to win lanes, not just in that solo lane. They're starting to find headway here in duo as well.
Man, this is what's so fun to me about watching high-level Smite 2, is that in Smite 1, by the time you're in Season 9, Season 10 of the SPL, everyone knows exactly what's going to kill at any given time. They know if someone's in trouble or not, and these little burst kills in lanes just didn't happen nearly as often. But with the new itemization, the changes to all these gods, players are just getting surprised by damage output, and you can end up turning a fight much differently than you could back in the days towards the end of Smite 1. It's fun to watch a new competitive game kind of rise, and that's what's been happening. Food Drive has just kind of been catching Risk and vice versa.
Risk are actually on the Gold Fury. Here's Food Drive trying to contest. It's just too much. No way to get in. You saw Happen looking, and as soon as Odin comes in, he's like, you know what? I don't have to go in there and get perma-stunned and die. We'll let them have the Gold Fury. We'll live the fight another day. They had that like gold lead, but Team Risk just even it up. Ooh, slight miss from Globe on the raw snipe. All important when you're playing that god in mid. Meanwhile, Ragnarok on Genetics, trying to lock him down. The freeze and the wall will save him.
Nice job there. Good patience from Genetics, and Tekfir, if he wants to get that kill, needs to be able to space one of those abilities, and it's just pretty hard, especially when Happen's going to drop him in melee range. But love that Gold Fury pull from Risk, because it's just a Sunder advantage. They had two there in Lasbara and Genetics, and Happen was the only one there who had one for Food Drive.
Lasbara forces them off the purple buff here in duo, and they will pick it up. Happen still looking for a way in. Tekfir a little separated as Team Risk look for the purple buff. Tekfir waiting for a way. Genetics will make sure that he can't get back in. Valo coming to party as well. That could be a difference maker, but Happen will fall first. Streak gets the kill there. All from Tekfir. Valo comes right through. Genetics still alive though. Everyone forced out. And you see Streak running for his life. Genetic use another wall. You have a leap from Lasbara. Globe picks up Streak to make sure they get something out of that.
I'm waiting for this raw snipe, and when it's coming, and finally Globe pulls the trigger, and he gets Streak right as that Aegis falls off. Great play from Globe in order to get that rotation in, and that time Happen just goes a little too early. That fight was looking so good because Valo and Globe were on the way, and Happen, where he played it perfectly in the early game when Valo was coming over, that time just goes maybe 2 to 3 seconds too early, and they only end up trading 1 for 1. But at the end of the day, you're still trading support for ADC, and that's a trade that Happen is going to take happily every time.
If I'm Variety, I don't even want to fight this. You got that, the Sunbeam bow. You're not going to be able to tank pretty much anything Karmic was doing. Anytime you see that fight, like Karmic is just chunking Variety. It got harassed early on from Valo. It's still a 1, or no, now a 2, or I thought it was 2 levels. It is 1 level still for Karmic, but that's enough right now, especially with the way the build's going. Prophetic Cloak online as well for Karmic, and he was the huge difference maker. If you remember their game yesterday against Smokebreak in game 1, it looked like Smokebreak had him on the ropes, and it was a Karmic play at the end of the game to turn the tables on them. And that solo lane may come into huge effect again as we get further into the mid game, almost 12 minutes in. Food Drive for Globe have been caught here by Team Risk, who keep it even with them for the most part. The back and forth has been fun so far.
It's been really fun to watch this meteoric rise, as there's a rise up into the air after the Kraken.
What happened will just get out. Leap still available. Pop the challenge just in case.
It's been fun to watch this Food Drive team, because it's who is the star, right? Who is the one to keep your eye on? Some games it's Karmic, some games it's Valo, some games it's the duo lane, some games it's Globe, you know? And
yeah.
I think that it's really cool to watch a team form an identity in real time like this. And their teamwork is obviously the #1 thing, but when it gets tough, when you get against players that are of your caliber and teams that are of your caliber, and you need someone to make a play, who's it going to be?
Ragnarok on Genetics, trying to rock it back into his team. They get underneath it. Actually, it's Team Risk who take the Naga as they were trying to get it down. Valo takes down Genetics, and they're going to want to make sure they take everybody off the board for stealing Naga. Lasper goes down next. Valo continues to swipe the daggers and pick up kills. On the other side, though, Streak drops the ult, but turns back around. That's not good for Streak. He's got to leave as Raw gets the beam down for him, and Streak does indeed get out.
I can tell immediately that this team knows what their jobs are in the fight, because Globe, you see him think, oh, I would love to chase this Poseidon with the rest of my team, but he hears the Cupid ult go off and he thinks, oh, well, I'm the Shell. He's got Phantom Shell as his relic, and so he knows that he needs to be there to make sure that Tegvir doesn't get 1v1'd in the backline. Good discipline there and a great fight on both ends. I mean, yes, Food Drive get the kills, but Risk got that Naga, gets the objective, and we've seen how potent Valo in particular is when he gets that Naga buff. So important to prioritize it. I don't think every team has prioritized Nagas as well as these two were in that engagement, and I'm sure it's because of the work that Valo's been putting in with it.
Yeah, Valo continues to impress. You were praising his jungling at the start of the game, just the effect that he's had on it. Karmic also over here
he's in
on the
a weird
duo
spot.
side. He has some support behind him. Gold Fury is up. They're looking at it, seeing if they can either force Team Risk out or force a fight and maybe take it. Things are still about even. No one really has a distinct advantage. Even if you look across the board, the biggest advantage is the jungle. You just got within a level with Lasbra on Valo.
Well, Risk just watched Karmic back in front of them, so they pull gold, and it's almost gone.
Yeah, I think they're going to get it. Globe might try the snipe, and it's just too early.
Oh.
Happened, got it. Wait.
Happened.
All right.
With the jump in, didn't even need the Sunder. A little assist from Globe with the Searing Pain, and that's just enough. No Sunder even used there for Risk. Genetics didn't even pull the trigger. Maybe they thought it was free. Maybe it was just too late.
I mean,
they bursted it too much.
They only saw it happen. Probably didn't even know Globe was sitting there lining up the snipe.
Exactly. Really, really difficult objective to secure, but feel like that Kraken was pretty early from Theeks. It was kind of at half HP. Ideally, you want to combine Kraken and Sunder so they're happening simultaneously. So instead of securing from 1K, or 500 rather, you're securing from a higher percentage.
Oh my goodness, that is absolutely reflective. He almost got half shot there from Amaterasu, and I mean, I thought Variety would end up losing that fight. That was with him one level up on him. So Team Risk, where it looked like there were times Food Drive might have started taking over, right? They started winning the fight in duo lane. They were doing really well in solo. A couple of counter fights from Team Risk. They took that first gold. Fury for one. Happen will get one out of the way, but there's no one really here to support. Happens just hoping he can get it. Pops his talisman as well, but Lasmer will get the kill. They try the snipe leap again. Genetics picks one up. Valo comes in to help, and Genetics will fall. Do they get one more for the trade? Valo's in some trouble. Has some assist from Karmic, and they can't kill Valo. Karmic comes to save the day.
It was a great shell from Globe as well. Keeps him up, and look at this. Food Drive keep it hungry even after a little team fight. The Risk gets the objective immediately to fire.
Eeks is up, and you don't have Kraken available. Still down for 40 seconds. Pops the Aegis, avoids the damage off the Storm Call. But Karmic will keep on swinging, and Globe will beam him to death. It's a little too hot over here in the jungle for Food Drive.
I thought Theeks might have been able to just sneak in there, just get some vision. He knows that they can't do fire in 3 seconds with 15 minutes into the game. I think that he needs to be a little bit more patient and wait for the rest of Risk to come out of base. Food Drive, you know that they're not trying to burn that fire giant necessarily, that they're probably looking to kill whoever comes to check. Sure enough, Theeks comes to check. He gets killed for it. This Risk team is so clearly experienced, right? They are taking these body blows from Food Drive and looking to make plays and be proactive. And this is the type of game that I always feel like is a test, where we see these great teams that are coming up to play SPL level talent early or later in a season, and they've looked great in their region or in their league, and then you see what it really is to play against the best teams. I'm watching Food Drive.
They look like they've been here.
Play like they've been here this whole time. They do not look phased, and it is impressive.
It's telling when, you walk around the building, you hear some of the players even talking about it. Like, the respect is there for this team. Look at Valo, 3 levels up on Lasbra, still working on his next item. It's just going to be so hard for this Odin to actually sustain and help win fights. And if your Odin is in the jungle, you need him to be able to be in the center of the fight to sustain. A little bit of trouble as Kraken was caught, but Happen refuses to die. he somehow escapes every single time. Even if it looks like a 1v4, it looks like they have him, he always escapes.
Just an ultimate for an ultimate, and Kraken very, very valuable, but let's not pretend Ragnarok's not important either. So an okay trade, I think, for Risk.
Globe gets caught in the ring of spears, and he won't be able to escape. Hopes to get the damage off before he dies. Globe off the table. Team Risk, we're looking towards that Fire Giant. If they find Valo here, they certainly would go for it. He'll pop the invis, but it'll be tough to actually escape. Happen here to help, and everyone's here. It'll be actually hard to knock him down. Happen brutalizing through the wall. No risks here for Food Drive. That just making Team Risk the first tower. Beads forced out. As Tegvir was trying to help out on the back end. Valo trying to find him on the back. Does he get the kill? Valo takes down Streak. A big kill. He'll take that trade. Happen still alive as well in the back end. Variety. Lasbra pick up another kill. Happen falls. And this is getting ugly for Food Drive for Globe. Storm call for Karmic to pull them off. But that's a good fight for Team Risk.
And that is where I see the experience for Risk and Food Drive maybe gets a little trigger happy. I don't think that they needed to go in and fight that fight. You don't have Globe. He's been really impactful in these fights with his damage and with this shell. He's coming back off respawn in just a little bit. Valo has a huge bounty. He's 6-0, level 17. Him trading 1-for-1 is never going to be worth it at this point in the game. I would have preferred to see Food Drive spread the map. Look at how that gold lead is now shrunk back in Team Risk's favor just off of that play. If it's just giving them tier 2, we're not seeing nearly as much of a dip back into there. It's a lesson that's tough to learn sometimes, that it's okay to lose an objective. You just aren't in the right position. They've earned it. They got you in the wrong spot. Cut your losses, spread the map. Food Drive get baited into a bad fight, and Risk capitalize beautifully.
I mean, in this group, they have not really been challenged when it comes to objectives. So this is the biggest threat that they've faced yet. This is where we really see the mettle of this team. Something that you keep talking about, you know, it looks like they've been here before, but this is where the little things really start mattering. How do you beat another top team? This is the #1 team in EMEA. They didn't get there by accident. And keep in mind, Team Risk, they're looking for a 2-0 to force a 3-way tie to keep that 1 seed in question. Nobody in this group actually wants to play tomorrow. You want to go to Vegas in the upper bracket instead of being one match away from elimination once you get there.
Exactly. It's big stakes right now in this game. And Food Drive, they should feel pretty comfortable knowing that, hey, we just have to win 1 of 3 in order to get in a position to be our first seed. They're locked if they just win 1.
Happen. Gets a lot dumped on him, and he leaps out before most of it does it. That may give an opening to Food Drive if they can find one soon, but little spread. Valo high in the left side of the jungle. Could be something they come back on. Karmic is in his lane, though, so they may just wait to fight another day. And this is dead even. I know the kills say 12-7, but you look at the gold, you look at the XP. The only advantage is, again, Valo still 3 levels up on Lasbra. That's going to start mattering less and less. And it hasn't been the distinct advantage that Food Drive were hoping it could be. And you see Streak take down the Gold Fury. That's a huge Gold Fury at this stage in the game. Lasbra gets grabbed. This one's going to be tough to escape. Ring of Spears, he missed the snipe as well. Valo actually kills Streak off camera while Karmic chases down Lasbra ult from Tegvir, but they're not going to kill him, and he gets out. So Team Risk, they get the Gold Fury, they only lose Streak, and they get out.
Man, that was a little rough. A pretty big miscue there from Globe, though I don't know if they would have really been able to kill Variety anyways, but Food Drive, this one sketches me out a little bit, Jorby. I don't know if this is really the call. There's so many Sunders in their face here.
Yeah, I mean, grouped up like that, it looked like Genetics was about to freeze them. However, they turn on him immediately and get off that Fire Giant. Variety throws out the ult, trying to find the stun. Good enough, Happen gets deleted as Theeks picks him up. Genetics is in trouble on the back end, though, as Karma takes him down.
Nice.
And takes it. Tegvir actually goes down to him. Meanwhile, here comes Team Risk. Well, you messed around with the Fire Giant, and you found out, Food Drive. Team Risk. Well, Genetics will fall, but they'll absolutely take it. Karmic is in some trouble. You can't get out of this one. You'll do what you can to get the damage, get on the other side, blink out. But there's no way you're going to be able to contest this Fire Giant.
Great plays from Risk, man. They just keep the pace high, and I don't think they're letting Karmic go for free. They're going to force him out and go right back towards this Fire Giant.
Hello.
Valo's still here, though.
Gotta be careful. Oh, he just melted Lasbra's health bar. Still
We going for it?
looking for the dagger, looking for the steal. He actually just goes for Streak. You got to get out of there now if you weren't even going. We'll throw the decoy. He does have Assassinate and Blink, so he has a lot of utility. Goes right on Streak. Deletes him. Lasbra trying to stay on the shield. He escapes him on the Invis. Valo, no way. An absolutely insane jungler in this tournament. Blinks out, and they couldn't lock him down at all. But coming to assist him is Karmic. He's like, hang on, man. I just got here. we can still fight, right? But they're going to get out.
No, I don't think so. I mean, hey, Blink to kill the Fire Giant off the ADC, not too bad there for Valo. Makes a nice play, does cost him his Blink, which is obviously a big playmaking opportunity. But this is what I'm used to from these genetics-led teams, this pace of play where they do not let you think. They don't let you breathe and set your feet. And that is so difficult to deal with, even for the most experienced competitive teams in the world. It is the hardest thing to do, is to be constantly asked, hey, are you at this objective? Yo, we're grouped here. Hey, we're on this thing of yours. Yo, you better fight us here. And if you're late or improperly in the wrong spot, then you just lose. You lose the objective, or you ultimately can lose the game off of those things. And this is what I expected from Team Risk. Did everything go their way early? No. More things went on Food Drive's end, I'd say. But Risk just does not let off the gas. They constantly force Food Drive to be in the right spots over and over and over again. And that time, Food Drive wasn't. I think they got wrapped up in that pace of play. They got wrapped up in, oh, they're doing objectives every 30 seconds, it feels like, so we better do objectives when we feel like we have the opportunity. But it wasn't the right call at the right time. Not enough damage on Fire Giant, not enough area control. They don't have the type of space control that Risk's comp has, right? You've got Geb, which is, you've got Chalk, which is good with the rain dance. Yeah, that's down the line. You've got Chalk rain dance, but that's kind of your only great area control tool for Food Drive, whereas you look at Ymir Wall, Odin Cage, Cupid ult, even Poseidon Whirlpool is so threatening. Risk just controls space better than Food Drive, so they don't want to get caught in these larger scale fights around the objectives. They need to be able to find an angle in. Really, Valo has been the one to do it, into the backline and split up the fight. Because if Risk is able to just set all their zoning circles down, it's really hard for Valo to get any help on that dive.
And I mean, the fact that Risk kept it close early, like you were saying, short Food Drive, they got a couple of those early wins, but we had so much focus on that duo lane to start. And that was a hyper-aggressive pick in the duo lane. They didn't get the value out of it. Happen's going to jump over. They still played the Fenrir well, avoided everything there, and you got some damage off. Streak is forced out. Happen barely survives. Kraken gets dropped, finds nobody. And so Food Drive, they don't take too many risks here, able to regroup. Karmic does not want them to get the Fury. As they pull off, Team Risk are waiting for it. A little give and go on the space. Karmic can afford to be a bit of a harder frontline. Variety also lurking his way over, looking for a way in. Karmic walled out, has a freeze. They don't really have the damage to do much to him. Allows Globe to come in as well. And they're just kind of dancing around the Fury right now, waiting for the moment, but I think Risk think they have it here. As Variety comes around, distracts them a little bit. Happen jumps in front of it on the Fury. Variety still distracting them. Snipe finds only Genetics, not the amount of value you're hoping for. Now Variety ults on the back line, finds two on the stun. Globe down for a little bit. They're still pulling the Fury. They're trying to steal it, but he's losing health. Karmic gets out of it, and there you go. Gold Fury goes to Genetics. Team Risk win the dance. Globe just trying to survive, and just do they chase him down? Genetics used his wall to get aggressive. Lasbra reached over through the tower, has the cage. Globe can't escape, and he's trapped. Lasbra picks up the kill. Genetics gets out free, and how about that from Team Risk?
Man, what a fight there from both sides. That hit and run style is what Food Drive is going for, and I loved Happens double jump in, double star on the back line, raw snipe. But Streak Up lives, and this Cupid has so much sustain in Smite 2, especially with that Broggy's Harp. A little bit of intelligence there in the build means that he's going to be able to sustain up pretty well. He had Fire Giant taken off of him, so it wasn't as much as it could have been. But you see the game plan for Food Drive, and I think that they're identifying how they have to fight this well. It's in, out, and then we wait, and we go in, and we're out. And we're not trying to just stand there and brawl. But Risk just weathers the storm so well. They don't panic. They go, okay, that's their big cooldowns. Let's reset back to gold. Karmic's up. Let's hit him for a minute. Okay, he's out. Back to gold. And they juggle this team fight so well. This is it. This is high-level stuff, man. This has been impressive.
That's exactly where this comp loses, right? When you have Ymir and you have access to that hard CC, and you don't have that for Food Drive. So when you get into the juggle, eventually it's just you lose that tug of war because you have no way to flip the scales the other way. It's just raw damage output, and that's so hard to do when Team Risk are so good at what you keep saying, right? With the spacing, with the way they know the ebb and flow. They know how to do it. And I love the way Variety keeps peeling people off of the team team fights as well.
Yeah, he's marking Valo beautifully. You can tell he's just hunting for this Loki, which has got to be his job. I will say, if I'm Food Drive, I'm not feeling too bad about this position, because if that same fight happens that we just saw 8 minutes from now, the fight looks completely different, because Globe one-shot streak with his snipe, right? So I'm saying, if I'm Globe in this game, I'm saying, hey guys, we're fine. Let's just get me items. I just need to scale, and then I will one-shot whoever goes on. So we can get this punch in and then retreat style to be way more effective when that punch hits harder. Streak's not going to get tankier, although he did buy a Berserker shield. He's not going to get a whole lot tankier than that, neither is Theeks.
They want Karmic. They get Karmic off the board. That Fire Giant becomes a lot easier to grab without him to help zone. Happen here, I honestly think Happen's played the Fenrir about as well as you can play it as a support. Done what he can, but now it comes down. This feels like a very important Fire Giant. You see the slow bleed with the gold lead that Team Risk have built, and they have that start on the Fire Giant, waiting to see who pops their head out first. They'll catch one, and there you go. Happen forced out on the Ragnarok, and Lasbro trying to zone them out with the Ring of Spears.
Nice.
A huge snipe from Globe. That damage makes them a little timid to move forward again. Genetics getting back with the main group. Karmic wants to force him out. They try to wall to escape. Tegvir gets stunned midway through his dash, and Karmic wants to chase him down now. And if they force them out, if anybody backs here for Risk, they could go for the Fire Giant. Globe is in trouble though. Lasbro came from behind and will escape with his life. Still damage is being pumped up by Tegvir. Valo finds Theeks and gets a trade that's huge with Poseidon off the table. Tegvir takes one down. Streak trades out with him, and almost nobody wins here.
Great fight from Lasbro, man. That kill onto Globe ends up changing that fight.
Yeah.
Tegvir falls down too. It's Valo and Happen, neither with an ultimate, just trying to defend this Fire Giant.
Risk just getting one more. 2 for 3 and Happen. There's absolutely nothing he can do. The second Fire Giant falls to Team Risk, or is it the first? Feels like the second, doesn't it?
It is the second.
Yeah.
It is the second.
Okay.
And it's a great engagement there from Food Drive, because Valo, I love the way he plays the map, man. You can tell how much he's thinking about it. He knows, again, we can't deathball into Risk. That's what they want. So I have to split the map. So he's pushing in the tier 1 and tier 2 tower in mid. So Risk has to call his bluff, pull him in by pulling that Fire Giant. And I think Valo just takes too long to get into the right spot. I think if he was there literally 3 seconds earlier, Risk might have gotten wiped. They were so grouped running down the south side of the Fire Giant right after Globe hit a great freehand snipe that it could have really turned. But because Valo takes a little bit too long, and it allows Risk to mentally think, hey, we need to make sure we're not getting owned by Loki in this spot. The chaos had kind of subsided, and all of a sudden, it's now Food Drive who's getting funneled into that tight corridor in the southeast side of Fire Giant, and Lasbro's able to make the turn, trades his life for Globe, which is really valuable in a long engagement with that healing. Really, really close to being perfect there from Food Drive. I think Valo, despite doing the right thing early, just ends up being a few seconds late. And it feels so criminal to play it perfectly until the last 3 seconds or so and have that be the difference maker. But that's competition, baby. That's what it's all about.
That's 2 heavyweights going at it, right?
Yep.
The fact that it comes down to timing. I mean, you could probably count, 3 or 4 games we've had in the knockout stage that have been like that. And Food Drive, part of one of them against Smoke Break in game 1 yesterday. This is so huge for Team Risk to try to fight for this 1 seed. Again, for our audience watching, Team Risk, they're currently sitting in the middle of this group. They'd have to play tomorrow if they stay there. But if they 2-0 Food Drive for Globe here, they can certainly find it. Valo's done what he could, but yeah, that Reflect is going to do a lot of damage, and the ult will definitely kill him. That's only the 2nd death that Valo has had this entire match.
It's a catastrophic one, frankly, for him. Because Variety, he doesn't need to kill him in order to do his job. Him just making sure that he knows exactly where Valo is and is keeping Streak and Theeks busy is enough. But to then get to kill him is huge, because that poke is irrelevant against an Amaterasu who also has Fire Giant. He's full HP already. So all you did was get the ultimate, and that's not worth your life by any means.
Now we're getting close here. Closer and closer to the Titan. Mid Phoenix uncontested. They'll take it down for free. Move over to the left side here. On the order side. Team Risk slowly bleeding out. It was death by 1,000 cuts, and they continue to swing the blade. They'll go take down 2 Phoenixes, drop the Ring of Spears, and you can't dance in the ring. Odin, he owns that one. Bye-bye, Tegvir. Variety takes down another, and it's looking like Team Risk take game 1.
Unbelievable game, man. What a great game 1 in this series. Valo's back up, so maybe it's not over?
Maybe, but that Titan health is dropping real quick, and how about it? Triple kill at the end for Variety, and Team Risk almost there. One leg of the journey done to force the 3-way tie. Tegvir, in the pregame interview, he said, we are the best team here. Team Risk are showing it to him right now.
Man, Risk ended up playing great. Food Drive played well throughout a lot of that game, but it just takes one mistake at this level to really have it all unravel, and it is that mid lane skirmish where Valo gets soloed by Variety. As soon as that front line feels like they don't have to worry about what's happening behind them, Lasbra and Variety can just not worry at all about how their backline's doing. They don't have to hear about where Loki is, anything like that. They can just focus on killing this Kern and this Ra. They one-shot them both underneath that left Phoenix. So it's a difficult composition to execute there for Food Drive. They showed me that they're certainly capable of it, right? It was just a few small timing things. But, man, they've got to – if they want to lock up that first seed – I think Risk showed that they're going to have to make them earn it.
It all comes down to timing here for Food Drive versus Team Risk. Can they force the 3-way tie, or will Food Drive collect that #1 seed? Find out after the break.
I make them believe you know where you're going. Doesn't matter when you're with me, I like you for you and all that you're doing. I used to be just like you, trying to meet the expectations of this life. But I wrote my own set of rules, you should write your own too, so we can feel alive. Let's get lost in the night, lost in the night. I'm gonna be there, yeah, be by your side. Let's get lost in the night, lost in the night. Nothing can compare to this feeling, alright. When you're lying there old and gray, you'll think of the days you savor the moment.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Smite 2 Founders Series Knockout LAN. And we are one step closer to absolute chaos. It is a win here for Team Risk. And remember, they have to 2-0. This next game has a lot of pressure riding on it, because if they win it, then tomorrow we've got a whole different schedule than what we've been prepared for the last few days. But, of course, we have to get there. If Food Drive for Globe win, everything settles. The chaos, the turmoil was nice,
Settles.
smoothed out, yeah. But first and foremost, if you're curious about some maybe auxiliary content that you can watch, and of course this is always really helpful whenever we get to record things with these players beyond just the gameplay, well, you can go to youtube.com/SmitePro. This was really helpful earlier this year. As you saw, there were interviews with APAC, interviews with LATAM. You can watch some game shows. You can watch This Week in Smite 2, which has funny clips. Sometimes it's bugs, sometimes it's goofy. But in my experience, it's been a great way to find streamers that maybe you've never heard of or seen in the Smite directory, and good places to go.
And you guys bully me on there sometimes too, which is
not
very nice.
Well, but it's pretty funny because we'll get inbound clips, which you should go to twitch.tv/inbound, right? It's just
I mean, not even gonna bully me like they do.
Well, don't bully him
Yeah.
in his chat, right? Keep
Keep that in other people's chats.
Keep it in other people's chat. Go to Trelly's chat and bully inbound. No, but yeah, you get good clips. And for those of you who are out there, normally we say this in This Week in Smite 2, but like, get the clips.
Yeah.
It is actually kind of crazy how much value a good clip can get for. I think
good.
just like for any stream. I mean, I'll use even Esports here for an example, because I know we've had world-ending calls and plays like that have gone way further beyond what we expected them to go.
Like into the Esports field beyond
And you're
Spite.
just like, oh my god, wait. I thought like 10 people were going to see this. This is crazy. So it's always really fun. But yeah, go make sure you check out youtube.com/SmitePro. There's also shorts for a little while that were going up over there and all of that, just to keep up on some of the more auxiliary content beside that. Now back to the chaos. It's Team Risk. They win 1-0. And it is, I mean, just spikes. It is crazy. And now they are on the verge of creating an absolute nightmare for probably the admins and a little bit for the players, but it's something that they want and desire.
And we were talking in the back a little bit, like, Karmic has been one of the best solo laners we've seen, dominate in the most of the games, very few weaknesses. In this game, Variety took it to him. Variety made plays early game, and he was even surviving while getting ganked and still, like, keeping up in levels. And I don't know if it's, like, complete comfort on Amaterasu after seeing Benko played a couple times. I don't know if it's he has finally just found a style that he's really liked in Smite 2, but Variety was dominant this game. Early rotations, he soloed Valo late game, who was also, 9-3-3, and really the one keeping Food Drive for Globe in this game beyond the early portion. I mean, there was a point he was 6-0, and the only real time skills were coming through was when he was committing for them. The Variety is just like my shout out, as this game was decided by a lot of the plays that he made. Yes, the team as a whole, good objective play, yada yada, but Variety really took a step forward for this game.
I'm kind of curious, and specifically because it was such an out-there pick up front, but like the Finner back in support for Happen, again, something that we've seen, in the past, but especially in Smite 2, there was this period of time where as Fenrir started getting hit with the nerfs as he needed at that time.
A lot of nerfs.
He disappeared from support because he just wasn't as good over there anymore. Do you think that played a factor? Like, was the Fenrir a detriment to the team, or do you think that it was just something that, like, hey, you know what, you tried it, it could have worked, it looked good, but then it just fell apart?
You know, I think that's a really good point because double support bans. Sobek gone, Yemoja gone. You have to go to your third support for genetics, 4 support for Happen. Was the Fenrir fine? Yeah, I think it was fine. But I think the utility that Ymir provides, the CC, the wall, the passive, it was more than Happen could really do. And I was saying that they needed to win that early game in duo lane to really get a lot done. Happen nearly died at level 2 because he kind of went in at a weird time where Tegvir wasn't able to trade into him, so it was just mostly a 2v1. I don't mind the Fenrir, but it looks just outright weaker than Ymir. The good thing is, now you get to kind of decide what you want to do with P's and B's. You have the opportunity to take first pick and then maybe ban away the Yemoja, something like that. I don't like this matchup, though. I'd prefer Happen to go elsewhere.
I'm really curious about this. We'll go into picks and bans here because, you know, obviously, and this was mentioned, in Closed Alpha 8, we got, you know, like your Medusa, your Aphrodite, your Pele, things like that. They're still playing on Closed Alpha 7, though. We've already mentioned Thor being banned, Baron being banned, and Nuwa being banned. Cuban, Poseidon, we've seen, you know, sprinkled in here. But it's the gods from Alpha 6 that I've actually been really curious about. We've gotten some Nemesis. Actually, Food Drive for Globe have played it. But I to the point where I had to keep asking myself if Khepri was in the game. Like, I was like, am I like accidentally leaking something when I think about him? Like, no, it's like he's been here. And so I've been a little curious about that. Like, do you think that Khepri just like doesn't have a place right now? Same thing for Izanami.
I mean, personally, I think Izza is good. I think she has a couple bad matchups, mostly into Cernanos. But
well, it kind of sucks that he's the guy right now, right?
He's literally the best ADC. He's taking over Jingwei. But yeah, Khepri's a great shout. I literally had the exact same thought like Thursday. Where is Khepri? And it's just
genuinely was like,
they're just not wanting him
out yet.
Yeah, you're leaking it, and they're just not picking him. But to get to P's and B's quick, CERN banned, Food Drive for Globe, switching that up from the Yemoja. But you know what? That leaves open after the Zeus ban. We get both supports locked in that were banned last game. Food Drive for Globe opting for this Yemoja. We've got the Sobek on the side of Team Risk, which Food Drive for Globe almost outright when you pick this matchup of Yemoja into Sobek. You're kind of giving up that pressure. Obviously, Team Risk doesn't have to put the Sobek in support. They can put it in solo, but that's risky when that's your calling card.
Yeah, and realistically, it does make a little bit of the change. It's like we get a step that we wanted, but it comes with a detriment alongside it, which is, hey, you went away from the Fenrir, but now you're going to lose a little bit of pressure. It's also very interesting because with Cernanos banned, you know, we've seen, and you just mentioned it, a lot of priority put on Jingwei as the kind of second best. Cupid's been locked in there a few times for the matchup, but like now you maybe have that ability to flex around.
And this goes back to you talking about the Izanami. She's not a character that, you know, I'm
nobody's
thinking
picking her
of
up
too much, but I kind of love an Izanami pick here. Izanami are on her for the side of Food Drive for Globe to be able to actually win that laning phase into Sobek and Jingwei. And you know what this is? This is Tegvir.
Oh yeah, you're right. I'm gonna be honest for a second. I forgot about that.
Of all the realms we could visit,
maybe peacefully,
must it be
blissfully.
the mortal
That
one?
Zeus that got banned, I was already thinking,
I
oh, that's
protected
kind of shot at
nonetheless.
Tegvir more than anybody
Yep,
because
that
he's
is.
the guy who plays that on Food Drive for Globe. But much like you just mentioned, Tegvir plays the Susano as a carry.
Wow, it almost seems like Team Risk played this P's and B's exactly how they wanted to. You really feel like everything that Food Drive for Globe got in value, Team Risk got equal or more. Like Chalk, great solo laner. Into Sobek though, out CC, a lot of damage on the Sobek. I like Sobek personally a lot more in that solo lane. Nemesis, you have a lot of CC, but I mean, you don't have a lot of CC, you got a good amount of damage, but playing it into the Odin, who doesn't really need to get levels, Team Risk has kind of played these P's and B's exactly how you'd expect, but I'll never count out Tegvir in dual lane with Zeus or Susano, these weird characters. And the most difficult part is not, you know, Susano's not a great laning phase character, that's not why you pick him, but you've not played against him in how long as Genetics and Streak? How long has it been since you played a Susano ADC? It's weird, and you don't know entirely what to expect.
And it's one of those things, and actually I'm really interested in this because walls have been a thing that I've been hounding on all weekend, and I'm going to continue. Because guess what? Food Drive for Globe, well, they've got 2 of them. Admittedly, they come out at the exact same time, so maybe you can count it as one, but the Odin, the Ymir, a lot of people with dashes that are going to struggle there. I'm curious to see what Food Drive for Globe do here, and just how this matchup goes. If you're Risk, you need a 2-0. Can you find it? We'll find out here in game number 2.
Thank you, Gormizer. Aggro, we've got Team Risk, who could put Food Drive on notice here with a 2-0. But I gotta say, really interesting pick and ban phase here. And I really want to get your thoughts because we have heavier CC comp again here from Team Risk, and not so much of it on the other side again for Food Drive for Globe.
Yeah, look, I hear what Bobby's saying, you know, Tegvir, he's a menace on the Susano ADC.
Valo was nasty on Nemesis yesterday.
Yeah, it's all great, but here's the deal. Do you want to play Susano into Sobek, Odin, Poseidon, Ymir?
No, ever. No.
Under any... I don't care if,
I wouldn't.
If you're smurfing an arena game, man. Playing against those 4 gods in particular are really, really... It's so difficult for Susano. So I can't... It felt to me like Food Drive made up their mind on who they were going to pick before the picks and bans happened. That they were playing Susano ADC no matter what this game, regardless of what Risk was doing in the comp. And I just feel like when at the end of this game, my guess is that Tegvir is going to be saying, man, I wish I was playing something else.
Well, everyone backs on Team Risk. They were 5 stacking in the grass on the duo side, but Valo will not give them the chance for it. He was the one closest to it. And it does feel like it's the same story, but can they beat the spacing, the positioning of Team Risk to play aggressively as they want? Happen on this Yamoja can be ridiculous. They are going to try to fight for this purple buff. It's a 3v3. They get all that damage out first, but all the ability still available as Lasbra comes in and gets a ton of damage out, forces Valo to blink.
Yeah, that's a little bit of an early blink, I think. Not a lot of chase potential from Risk there. I think Valo was fine, but, you know, I want to clarify because I don't want to be labeled as an off-meta hater or anything like that. Historically, I have been the most open, I think, to different gods and different roles and all that type of stuff. It's really that, going back to what Bobby was saying on the desk, you're not picking Susano ADC for lane. You're picking it for the fight. It's that the fight is where I think the Susano struggles the most against this composition. So that's why I'm so nervous about it if I'm Food Drive. But it's also, like you said, difficult to play against something that you aren't used to playing against. And he said, when's the last time you played against Susano ADC?
Yeah.
Have they ever played against Susano ADC? Probably not, most likely.
I do think there is something to be said about having an awkward matchup for sure.
Yeah.
We'll see. Happen. I really think it comes down to him, how he plays this Yamoja. Can he generate opportunities with those quick stuns? Can he build up pressure? It all really hinges on him making this lane work. Genetic's getting harassed. He comes to teleport and get out. That's the one thing about Susano is that's the annoying part about this god is you think you get him locked down, but he has so much movement in his kit. Karmic actually getting harassed as Lasbra comes over for the gank. Nice dodge on the spear.
A good juke there from Karmic, so he's A-okay. The good news, I think, for Food Drive with this composition is even though Tegvir, I don't love his position in it, I really like Valo's Nem pick. I think you know that they're almost certainly going to go Odin jungle again. You want something that can tank bust a little bit. Nemesis, phenomenal at doing that. And with that tank shred plus the Yamoja now, Food Drive is much better equipped to stand and brawl where they couldn't last game.
Happen gets caught in the wall in the freeze and completely body blocked. Pick your poison. Are you going to get Jingwei or are you going to get Ymir? Odin comes to play too, maybe a little sad as Tegvir gets away with his life. And this is not going the way Food Drive were hoping here in the duo lane early.
Lasbra's everywhere, isn't he? I mean, He's there to defend the early invade on the enemy purple buff. He's ganking Karmic, even though that doesn't end up with anything, and then he teleports over and is there for the fight in that duo lane gank. And whether that's Karmic not calling it, it's hard to say, but I think that with how much time Valo wasted standing there waiting for this fight to happen, Happen gets in there. You know, he knows he's almost certainly going to die. He's just hoping that it can be a 1-for-1 or maybe even a 2-for-1 trade in their favor. At some point, it's either Karmic didn't say, hey, Lasbra could be teleporting over with the side teleporters, or not realizing that this play is just taking too long to develop. I think Risk can react.
So far, Team Risk do have the spacing. They do have the position in the duo lane right now. something that we have highlighted all match long, and Team Risk even said it. That strength comes from their duo lane. Globe, though, gonna eat a Kraken. Or did the Kraken eat Globe? Lasbra comes in to pick it up. The Allfather will collect another soul.
Just easy peasy there for Team Risk. I don't think that Lasbra was even needed. I think Theeks might have been able to get that kill all on his own, gets the shell and the ultimate from Globe as well, and where game one was this really quick back and forth, a lot of things happening for both teams. So far, to me, Jorby, the Risk is just dominating.
Every time we switch to a fight, we're watching Lasbra.
And yep.
What a turnaround, because he was down for most of the game in game number one.
Yep.
Now he's in the driver's seat in the jungle. Another fight in the duo lane. Tegveer trading out. We'll have to get out, trading out damage at least, but they're not used to seeing the Jingwei just be able to pressure lane. But that's the other part of this. We talk about the awkwardness, but sometimes it's just pure stats. Sometimes it's just pure matchup, and Streak has the matchup. Tegveer goes down.
Yeah, that just can't happen. I mean, Genetics' masterful gank there was walking into the jungle and immediately walking around the rock and coming into lane. Like, you've just got to be more aware than that. It's not a good start here for Food Drive, and Risk now. This is a good test of Food Drive's mental, because this is a bigger lead than Food Drive had in game one, but we saw how Risk was so resilient on, yes, we're not winning every skirmish, but we're still here for everything. We are still making you answer us instead of just answering over and over and over again. Can Food Drive show that same type of resilience in a game where they are now really behind the 8 ball just 5 minutes in?
That's a name we haven't said. We just saw Valo, someone who was so good at rotating out, picking fights, especially in that solo lane early on this Nemesis, not finding the fight. Nemesis wants to fight, but the Kraken is just having his way in the mid lane. Globe will get out, and you'll push back. Lasbra just got pushed into Globe, and Globe is not happy about it at all. Valo will try to dash out. Still might get plucked and blinks away from the pluck in time.
Yeah, good reaction there from Valo. That was funny. I mean, Globe's like, all right, I got to open up the portal. I got to open the gate, and then I'll be able to get out, and I enter an Odin cage.
Portal from the second circle of hell into the third circle of hell.
Out of the frying pan and into the fryer for sure. I mean, that was just difficult there for Globe. And you're looking at where can we possibly make something happen already if you're Food Drive, right? Where is our opportunity? And the only lane that doesn't feel like it's so far behind it can't do anything is Chalk, but you're up against the great neutralizer in Sobek, you know, one of those gods that's so difficult to really effectively punish. Maybe Valo and Karmic can start teaming up and getting into the enemy jungle and putting Lasbra behind on buffs.
And I mean, the desk was talking about it. Bob, you heard Bobby say, you know, he didn't know if Variety just had comfort on Amaterasu, because we've been talking about Karmic being that major solo laner. He blinks out, ults out. That's all of his utility. But also the controller, not even just the Sobek. He's in some trouble. Lasbra comes to support. Huge timing on the rotation there from Lasbra, or Karmic almost certainly picks up that kill.
Yeah, good rotation, but it's still a blink and an ultimate from Karmic, and if that's our only pressure possibility, that's a lot of potential pressure lost with both of those big cooldowns expended. Valo maybe can team up with Karmic on a dual lane teleporter rotation. I mean, if I'm on Food Drive, I would feel pretty pressured in order to try and make something happen, even though it's only 7 minutes in.
Lasbra has some support. Alt drop, though, on Variety. Block the pluck, meaning he's going to have to walk his way out. He doesn't really have a problem doing that, though.
Nope.
We'll get out easily.
That's the power of Sobek and Odin. Just two tanky boys that can be very, very difficult to take down. And Valo, while yes, the ultimate is very good at killing tanks, you still have to get some basics in afterwards or have someone else do the majority of the damage for you. That fight probably looks a lot different if Karmic has his ultimate. So that's a good example of where they could have potentially punished Team Risk, but because of that little skirmish where Karmic fails the dive, just lose the opportunity.
You think Karmic is even feeling a little pressure to perform, knowing how the rest of the arena is playing out, so he takes that risk to tower dive?
100%. And you know, hey, the game's not going well. I'm the only one who hasn't been set behind. Maybe I can do something in order to bring us back into the game. And so no problem with him going for a play like that by any means, but it does come at a cost. And I think you look at what this comp is meant to do for Food Drive, feel like there is an opportunity. They've staunched the bleeding a little bit. They could make a side lane play. The one place I wouldn't try and fight at all is in the mid lane, because Theeks is level 11 and Globe's level 8. I'm not trying to take anything where Theeks can be. And the problem with Poseidon is he can be just about anywhere pretty darn quickly. So you've got to be sure that Theeks isn't going to be there.
Meanwhile, Happen has just been unable to do anything on Yamoja. However, getting a lot of damage on Genetics and will take him down despite the ult, not able to get anything, not able to get zoning. So a little bit of light on this food drive side, but there's been nothing. That's their first kill.
Yeah, but it's something. And I think Genetics expected to be a little bit tankier there than he ultimately was. I was a little surprised that he went down through the Amanita charm, but that's something there, and getting Tegveer a little accelerated is huge.
Oh, Tegveer sees the moment. Airstrike forced out. Is the dash available for Streak as well? Yeah, Tegveer's not even going to try.
Yeah, he's got speed buff as well. I mean, Happen should stop this back, and Valo should be looping around, but just too little, too late.
Timing.
Yeah, just not. Maybe if they would have identified it right away, that is a kill, and that would have been huge, because then you've gotten both dual lane members killed. That would have been really big. But even that one kill has brought us to about a K down.
Almost 10 minutes in. Gold Fury still hasn't gone down. Lasbra got ulted on by the Nemesis. Tegveer tries to get it, but Genetics will make it difficult. Tegveer's now in trouble. He needs that support. Riptide will help get him out. Good job from Happen. But got to be careful, Valo. Make sure you get out. I think Team Risk smell blood in the water here, and they want the meat. Valo trying to get out, has the blink available, and will survive. So Food Drive do not relinquish what they gain.
Really, really good trap set there by Food Drive, but that Jingwei passive makes a huge difference in that engagement. Just able, to come back and get involved in that fight. Make sure that Food Drive can't turn it around once that Odin cage was down. Lasbra, I'll tell you what, has been playing great. We spent a lot of time talking about Valo in game one, but I really think Lasbra was in the right spots so often during that first game, and he has been everywhere so far for Risk in game two. And no surprise, man, this guy's an absolute veteran, grinded his way up, was on some lower end teams, the Luminosities of the SPL, that type of stuff, and ended up getting to a spot where he was considered a really, really great jungler for good reason. He continually impressed me towards the end of Season 1 SPL, and no surprise to me whatsoever that he's killing it in Smite 2.
Especially telling when not many players from that era are still around, still competing even here at the knockout stage, but Lasbra showing he still plays at a high level. But Team Risk, despite that advantage, the Gold Fury's still on the board. Food Driver still within 2K. Genetics looking to kill Happen. Rivers is up, but it doesn't matter. Kraken, they really wanted the kill on Happen. They dedicate a lot to it. Lasbra also dropped the Ring of Spears, but they can't lock down Tegveer. Everyone kind of split here. You got Valo sitting near gold. You did have Globe as well, who was thinking about it, but everyone gets back reset.
Happen definitely feeling the difference in survivability from Fenrir to Yamoja, game 1 to game 2, isn't he? I mean, how many interactions did he get out of with Ragnarok in the last game? How many times did he escape with 1 HP? This time, the Yamoja not going to have that same affordability when it comes to that positioning and being caught out. Much easier to lock down the Yamoja than the Fenrir.
I mean, you're really just going to be an ult merchant at this point. Yeah. Just hope you can separate a fight in your favor with Rivers
Rebuke,
right?
The thing is, there are worse ults to rely on.
I'm not saying it's bad.
Rebuke.
Sometimes being an ult merchant's great, right?
It's true. And so he can still be very, very useful in this game, but hasn't been able to find a really big dividing ultimate quite yet.
Gold Fury does go down to Team Risk. They found the split. And that just comes down to, again, that slow bleed that they have been so good at just whittling Food Drive down. It's not big team fights that give them a distinct advantage. It's just good rotations, good fights, knowing when to pull off, knowing when to go in, really keeping an eye, and despite everything, having that ward, not just the ward coverage, but just vision. And to me, both of these teams, good IGLing when it comes to that, but I think you're seeing maybe an IGL difference here on Team Risk.
That was close. Globe almost got caught, but it might be Valo instead, though he's holding his ground pretty well. Open the gates isn't going to get anything here for Globe either, but I'll tell you what, it looked like this game had a chance to get out of control and be almost over at this stage, 5-6 minutes in. Food Drive, while they haven't been able to completely staunch the bleeding, has slowed the pace down. Less kills happening for Team Risk, less objectives going their way outside of that one Gold Fury. Food Drive has kept this in a striking distance.
Variety did this all game one. Came in at the perfect time. Ring of Spears, though, locks it out for now. Valo gonna have a fight on the other side. Rivers Rebuke also prevents a full collapse for Team Risk, but Lasbra does not care. He wants Globe for lunch and finally picks it up. Lasbra's got that kill. Not looking good. Valo gets knocked up. Pulled back. plucked out of the arena. And there is Team Risk getting a decisive victory there on the team fight.
This is where the composition can start to struggle, though, for Food Drive, Jorby, because this comp is not DPS based. This is a burst composition, right? You don't have a traditional long-range basic attacker. You don't have a Kernanos or a Cupid or anything like that. You've got Susano. You've got Nemesis. You've got Hecate, who is not a lower cooldown mage. It's one big burst that has to kind of land for her. If you dump everything, like Food Drive did there, and Risk is going to live, which they are likely to do with the lead that they have and the gods that they have.
They only got Theeks.
Then you are just kind of dead. Like, nothing can really happen. So that fight really condensed, which is good for Food Drive in this composition. Different from their last one. It means Susano ult is more likely to hit. If Globe would have been able to keep his ult, it's more likely to hit. Karmic gets the 1 kill because everyone's grouped up. Great for Chalk, good for Yamoja. But then when only one person dies on Risk, they can all kind of look at each other and go, yo, oh, we're good? All right, let's go. And that's why I love this Amanita charm here from Genetics. It helps with that identity.
Jeez. Well, Valo is not happy about that one. They commit a lot. They don't kill him, but they will remove him from the fight. And Globe is left stranded in his own lane as everyone gets to clear it out. And Team Risk, they do have their way with the jungle. We were just talking about how it felt like Team Risk were just going to run away with it early. And then all of a sudden they win this one fight, and now it feels like they're starting to run again. Food Driver trying to keep up, but Pyromancer drops, Happen stole it.
Over the wall.
Which is not insignificant here for Food Drive.
No, they needed a win.
Yeah.
And that is just something to boost the mental a little bit. And keeping a bomb out of Risk's hands with how quickly they'll pace you on map objectives is important.
Whirlpool going to prevent him from moving quickly. Has the axe to get to safety, and that's exactly what Karmic's going to do. Globe also not feeling too much pressure from Lasbra, trying to zone Happen out. Actually going to pull the steal it. They do. Naga gets stolen by Lasbra, just comes in, walks in, and Risk take away the Naga buff. Again, huge for the objective as they ward off the Fire Giant. You were noting as well, the fight still doesn't seem to be stopping here. Rivers Rebuke catches Genetics out a little bit. They're trying to crash onto him, and Theeks gets deleted. Genetics gets deleted, and there you go. If you have a problem, just hit Control Alt Delete Task Manager and remove the application. Still, Team Risk are in some trouble as Lasbra pulls off, but they won't lose anymore.
That's that AoE that Food Drive has. It's a great ultimate from Happen, and then you've got the follow-up from Globe. You've got Tegvir, who charged the ult, didn't even need it. And this is going to be key. Can Food Drive secure this Gold Fury? There's a Sunder for Team Risk on Variety and a Sunder for Happen. Food Drive need this one.
Happen's been good at stealing objectives, but now they're in control of this one. All three of them waiting, Streak waiting. Gets pulled out, zoned out. The Gold Fury's looking good right now for Food Drive. Gets pulled out, the pluck denied, and Streak steals, or he steals it. Food Drive can't catch a break.
It's devastating for them, man. They lose Tegvir, they lose the objective. Globe is going to be an afterthought for Team Risk. And just when you thought Food Drive might still be in it and might have made a play to claw themselves back, it is an absolute catastrophe for the NA squad. Streak makes a big play, steals it. Food Drive, I think, just couldn't quite decide, are we trying to fight them or are we just trying to get this Gold Fury? And look, if they just try and got the gold and Tegvir sacrifice himself, no big deal. But when he dies too, it's pretty bad.
Valo committed everything. He blinked in on Theeks.
He's not catching him.
Oh, Karmic gonna blink in with the Storm Call. Maybe he'll catch him now. That's a lot wasted, and you got absolutely blown apart. You dumped the whole kit and into the landfill.
I love Theeks' just cheeky little smile, you know. He's not popping off too hard, anything like that. I saw Genetics popping off earlier, but Theeks is just, ha, they tried to dive me. That was dumb by them, you know, just real chill guy. The pressure to do something there feels like is the play, but let's see if Happen can do it again.
Man, what a return to form for Team Risk. Smoke Break had a huge upset against them. That's really how we started the entire weekend. And then Food Drive wondering if anyone could beat them in this group, and Team Risk aren't just showing it. They are absolutely blowing Food Drive apart right now. Fire Giant goes to Team Risk. This game looks like it's theirs to lose right now.
It absolutely is. Just great patience on that Fire Giant. When you've got one person who's trying to steal away the Fire Giant from you, the worst thing you can do is hit the fire. Exactly what Risk there does is the correct play. Let you keep tanking it, don't drop it, but just stop hitting it and just kill the person trying to steal it, because he can't DPS it down from 2K as a Emoja all on his own, force him to walk in, kill him, take the objective afterwards. Clinical right now from Risk.
Going straight for the Phoenix as well. Team Risk trying to push the advantage with this Fire Giant. Theeks drops the Kraken. You have the shards as well from Genetics. Tegveer can do absolutely nothing but dodge and weave until he dies. Everybody on Food Drive will join him under the ground. And still, Team Risk will not let up. Absolutely dominant here in game 2.
It cost them a lot to stay alive on this right-hand side. No Relic for Streak, no Amanita Charm or Relic for Genetics. Maybe Food Drive can try and mount the defense, but just not healthy enough, not strong enough. They lose their fireside Phoenix. And the problem here is that, yeah, Team Risk is up 10K, and there is a lot of gold still on the map for them to take. Tier 1 and Tier 2 towers in both other lanes are still up, and that's only a matter of time until Risk earns that gold.
You know, at the kill feed, it's 14-4, where there was only a separation of 2 kills at any point in game number 1. 2 Gold Furies, they go to Team Risk. We're thinking, do Food Drive have the best farm in this tournament? No, not this game. It's Team Risk taking them to school and teaching them a little lesson about the little things of Smite 2. And they are absolutely showing out here for the audience and for all of us here in the building. For the number 1 seed in EMEA, they're living up to that card right now.
This is what I expected from Team Risk. You know, a few years ago, I think these Genetics-led teams, after taking a bad loss at the beginning of the tournament, you're thinking, oh, are they going to question what their prep was? Are they going to get too upset about how they lost? You know, how are they going to respond? And that might have been a concern. Genetics as a leader has matured. He's been there. He's done that now. He's not going to let the moment be too much or get emotional about it. And he's just clinical with this leadership as always. Got this team prepped and ready to go, and they look so prepared for what Food Drive is doing. Food Drive, I do think this game, it looks like it was never close. That window where they get those 2 kills in mid and transition over to gold, they could have been back in the game right there if they had executed that play properly.
That was the one play they had, and I think as as Variety just sits under here lurking in the swamps, River's Rebuke will come up. Do they have a chance to at least take Variety down? Doesn't really look like it. Karmic loses all of his health. But I mean, again, I have to go back to the pick and ban stage here, where it felt like it was the same issue in game 1, and it was a lot closer, but you felt the difference of really just Ymir. Yeah. And it felt like it was the same mistake again here for Food Drive for Globe. You go to the comfort pick, the Susano in the duo lane, didn't work the way they were hoping for it. It's just a classic comp here for Streak and company on Team Risk. They take another player down. Streak gets to a double kill on Happen, and they're just ripping them all to shreds right now on the Jing Wei. Streak still pumping it in. That's a triple kill into the mid Phoenix. That will certainly go down. No chance for Food Drive to stop Team Risk. They're snowballing them.
I mean, 30 seconds on most of these respawns. They are a little weak here on Team Risk, but what's the threat? It's a level 15 Susano.
Yeah, they're not going to be able to do much. Team Risk causing a little bit of chaos here in the group. Tegveer will take a couple down. Titan health still up a little bit. They have low health. Genetics is that one with low health, though, and it does fall. Maybe a little bit of health. They get pulled off. It Theeks gets the kills, though, and there you have it. Team Risk 2-0. Food Drive for Globe and still play for the #1 seed.
Right, okay, Risk is the one who was like undefeated in their region, stacked with SPL talent.
It makes sense.
Looks impossible to stop. Like, right, that's the team that we expected. This is the type of performance that we expected from Team Risk at the beginning of the tournament, which is why it was so surprising that Smokebreak was able to take it to them 2-0. But this is what we expect, you know, from a team that has that much experience, that much leadership, that much pedigree to be able to bounce back from a bad set early in a tournament and do that to the team that everyone is talking about. Wow, maybe just being the best in this group. Risk with a quick reminder that, hey, you can't be overlooking us. We're still the team to beat over here.
And now nobody in this group just gets to rest tonight and, you know, not even show up tomorrow. No, everyone's got to come in tomorrow for the tiebreakers for this group. I am super excited for that, but I'm more excited to hear what Gore and Bobby have to say about that one. Guys.
I mean, for game 2 specifically, I think I only have one word. I'm just, wow.
That is even this set. I feel like it's just a wow because I mean, Aggro hits it perfectly. This is the team that everybody expected the team to dominate the group, the team that you needed to beat. And that's what made Thursday all the more surprising, that Smoke Break came in and really blasted them. This was the style that you expected to see from Team Risk, though. Very methodical, smart plays, very low risk, and just everything turns out well. And the opposite side of it is Food Drive for Globe had a weird style of Game 1 and Game 2 in this set. Like, it's almost like they were completely taken off of winning the early game, dominating, playing for objectives. Team Risk took the early game, slowed it down, and then just methodically picked them apart.
I know there was one thing you had even mentioned, I think, as we went back. If it wasn't you, then I'm giving you the credit for it in it. Yeah. Was the fact that, Tegveer likes to play this Susano. Now I'm starting to think Malum might have said it. But normally they pair it with a pretty aggressive support. And this time they just didn't. Like, Yamoja, can kind of make that work. But, like, if he gets the first couple of kills in the lane, that changes everything. But he, just didn't really have a performance there.
Yeah, and Malum also said he likes to play it in the Zapman to kill Zapman.
Oh, yeah.
That's what
You're
it was.
right. He said exactly that.
Unfortunately, though, you played into the streak on this Jingwei. I mean, I get the reason you play the Susano. You get that early kill, and then you snowball, you push your lead. But you don't get that early kill. You're playing it in a losing 2v2, and then you're playing it into a Jingwei. Like, even if you do, leave and that 1v1 is there, you're never killing her. She's dashing out of all your damage, and she's, for the most part, clearing safe enough that you can't ever really threaten her. So it kind of comes back to Team Risk drafted this, perfect comp into what Food Drive for Globe wants to do. And again, to emphasize it, this is the team that you expected to see 2-0ing every other team. That's what's so crazy about, going into tomorrow now for that first seed.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. This is going to come up in the interview anyway, so I know we need to mention it now. That 2-0 win then means we have a 3-way tie for first, which means we've got to figure out how to do that. The good news, and maybe this is just if you've been here all day, is that there's been a lot of Smite already going on. So it's not happening today. It's going to be happening tomorrow. But the best news for you is there's bonus Smite. There's going to be extra Smite tomorrow where they're going to be figuring it out. Everybody's going to play something. I don't even think we have the order of the games just yet because it all depended on that last one, so it's been like 5 minutes to figure it out, which we'll let them do all that. For now, though, we'll kick it over to see how Team Risk is feeling right after that with a quick little interview.
Well, I'm sure they're feeling pretty great right now, Gore. I'm over here with Streak for Team Risk. You guys end up taking this 2-0, but this group stage didn't start the way that you guys were hoping. You came in as the #1 seed. You end up losing to Smoke Break. What's the conversation after that game about the rest of the group stage?
I think we knew we beat ourselves in the first set. We were still pretty confident that we were gonna do fine. We came in here without a single loss, not even a game. So
yeah,
it was eventually gonna happen.
And
we had to lose eventually.
And so Food Drive for Globe, they were 2-0 coming into this game. You knew what was at stake for you to at least play for the 1 seed. So after game 1, which was that back and forth, actually, before we get to game 2, I do want to ask you about game 1 because it was very close. What do you feel like Food Drive were doing well that you were able to work around and exploit to eventually win that game?
I think the low-key got a pretty good start. So it was pretty hard for our backline to play because we had Pos and Cupid, pretty easy to kill for our Loki. So that was probably the hardest thing to deal with.
And then Loki ended up not being an issue later. But game 2 seemed a little odd on the picks and bans side. Obviously, everyone knows that Tegveer loves his Susano. Were you guys even worried about that, or what were your thoughts after that pick and ban stage?
We weren't sure what he was going to play after Zeus and Kern were gone. But, I was happy to have Jingwei into any weird pick he was going to play. So I was happy after all.
You guys look really great. Now you get to play tomorrow, a chance for the 1 seed with the tiebreakers, and look quite strong doing it. What do you think is the #1 thing that makes you guys the best team here?
I think our drafts. I think we talk about drafts a lot, and whenever we feel confident going into a game that our drafts are going to be good, I think we're pretty hard to beat.
Your draft certainly looked great. Your gameplay looked even better, Streak. Thank you so much for coming out here. Can't wait to see you guys play tomorrow.
Thank you.
Gore, back to you.
Well, you get to see more Team Risk, more Food Drive for Globe, more Smoke Break. Again, if you're a Smite fan, it's just a win. I think all around.
Yeah, we get to now see how these teams are going to play in these. This is now turning into you play one game and you win that one, you're putting yourself into a good position. It's just one round robin now. And the pressure's on for every other game from here on out now. Before we can even get into the first round of what's supposed to be the biggest LAN.
That's the other half of this is that originally, and just straight up, I kind of figured, okay, well, we'll come back to this depending on what happens here. As long as Food Drive get a single game, we're going to be figuring out what the, bracket's going to look like. We'll know who's going to be playing tomorrow afternoon. We'll know who's going to have the bye and figure all of that out. And, for Group A, I'm sure 5M's right now is laughing.
They're the only one that's fine.
They're literally the only team that doesn't have to play tomorrow now because of that. We can look at the schedule and the standings at least to break it down so you understand where I'm at. So look at this. 2-1, 2-1, 2-1. Okay, well, hold on. Let me pull up the website real fast so I can read it because I believe, so after that we go to the head-to-head. You're right. So Food Drive for Globe. Okay, well, they beat Smoke Break. So so naturally they'll be up there. Oh wait, but they just lost to Team Risk. And Team Risk also lost to Smoke Break. Which means so that seems kind of like it's what, 3-way tied? Okay, then we'll go to plus minus now. Oh, that's 2-2 and 2. Okay, so I'll read this little line. If teams are still tied after all 3 tie-breaking criteria have been applied, a best-of-1 round robin will be played amongst the tied teams. That's where tomorrow's coming into it. So up to this point, if you've been watching, I've been mentioning that tomorrow would be starting a little later. That's not true anymore. I can that's something I can say. The same time we've been starting, 11 a.m. Eastern. I know for a fact, at least that's what I've been told by my boss, is that when we are going to be starting tomorrow to be broadcasting these, and so we are going to be watching. If I remember correctly, the other thing I was told is that it's going to be a random order of matches. Me and you were actually talking about it where you cross your fingers because no matter what, I think 2 teams have to play, the games back to back.
Yeah.
And one team would then play 1 and 3. And we were actually discussing, like, you kind of want to be 2 and 3 because you get to see both teams play in that first matchup. But they're going to be playing a lot more tomorrow in the morning. We'll talk about that, I'm assuming, relatively soon because they're trying to figure that out now as we keep going. What we can look at, though, and that we do know, is Group A. Guys, this is nice and simple.
This one's easy.
Do you see this? 3-2-1-0. That's the easiest 1-2-3-4 I've ever seen in my life. They also had one of our, I think, only sets, actually, that went to 3 was that Borscht and Mockingbird set yesterday. Absolute great game. Hey, guess what? If you missed it, you can go to youtube.com/SmiteVod.
Good job.
So you got to weave those in every now and then. It was really, again, why we're saying that, team name but with 5Ms are kind of cackling maniacally right now because they don't have to play tomorrow.
It makes it interesting that Group B was the closer group in terms of, a couple 2-1s and then a 1-0-3. This group had the best set. And this was the most definitive with, as you said, team with 5Ms, guaranteed they're through. They don't have to come in tomorrow. But
they get the bye round.
But Borscht, Mockingbird, don't even know who they play tomorrow. The other side, they don't even know what's the order of how they're playing. That's why it was, Food Drive for Globe, how much better for them would it have been if they took home this set, guaranteed themselves first seed, they don't have to come in tomorrow. But, to go back to it, Team Risk just played so well in that set, so well.
Well, this is why I'm so happy we logged in on Discord on these computers in the admin channel. I'm hoping maybe they're going to be scrambling for a schedule, so maybe I'm spoiling something. But you know what? So I give them time to react to me starting this. I'll go back over it one more time. So we are not playing the tiebreakers right now. That was the last set for today. The broadcast, when we are done here, is going to be done and dusted. Don't close it yet, though, because the's going to be information
that you need.
Yeah, please, keep us open. Watch the ads at the very end, too. These lights are bright and probably cost money. We're going to go live at 11 a.m. That is a new feature. If you've read any of the blogs or anything like that, that is something that has changed literally right now, because until we knew the tiebreakers were happening, we didn't really have a schedule for them. So tomorrow at 11 a.m., we're going to be starting with the tiebreakers. Now, again, this is going to be single game round robin between the 3 teams that are tied. That's Risk, Smoke Break, and Food Drive for Globe. They're going to be playing each other, and then after that, we're going to have a first seed. We're going to have a second seed. We're going to have a third seed. I believe we even have a conventional, if they're still tied after that, we have yet another tiebreaker to go to. We don't want to get to that, ideally.
Crazy.
We'll figure out what that ends up happening. 2 p.m.-ish, right? We'll be starting round 1 for those matchups, which is going to be some of the teams from Group A, which again we know are 2 and 3 seed from there. So we already know part of the Vegas bracket where Borscht and Mockingbird are going to be. Borscht is going to play the 3rd seed, we still don't know yet, and Mockingbird's going to play the 2nd seed, who we still don't know yet. And so if I can look at these, the the matchups, again, you can expect everybody to be playing Food Drive for Globe versus Smoke Break, then Risk versus Food Drive for Globe, then Smoke Break versus Risk. After that, hopefully we've got the seeding figured out. If not, we're going to be looking at other things, like other criteria. Fastest game time win, and then head-to-head. So there would be things to like, okay, well, you beat everybody else the fastest, you had the strongest, whether it's draft or gameplay or whatever, and then we'll be able to break those apart. So Inbound, what are you thinking about with all of this? That's a lot of information.
It makes these tomorrow's games just all the more exciting, and even for Borscht and Mockingbird, you don't know who you're playing tomorrow. You have to wake up early, you have to watch these games tomorrow.
Yeah, good point.
And then you have to take the drafts that they're, hopefully working on even into the night. So 5 teams have a lot of up-in-the-air stuff. It's going to be an exciting Sunday. You guys got to tune in.
Now, I'm going to go over it one more time, and then we'll be gone with you. Food Drive for Globe versus Smoke Break. Team Risk versus Food Drive for Globe. Smoke Break versus Team Risk. So Team Risk, at least in our opinion, maybe getting the luck of the draw there, right?
Yeah.
Playing in 2 and 3. Then we're going to watch Borscht versus whoever is seed number 3. Then we're going to watch Mockingbird versus whoever is seed number 2 to start that double elim Vegas bracket. There's a lot of Smite still to go on. My God, it just keeps on coming. And of course, you don't want to miss out tomorrow, 11 a.m. Wow, oh my God. 11 a.m. EST. A lot of letters right there, but that means you know the time, and of course you know the place, the same place you're watching just right now. So from myself, from Inbound, all the other casters, everyone back in production, everyone here at hi-rez Studios, thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you tomorrow morning for some tiebreakers.